I think a producer is kind of like if there was like deck of cards, it would be like the Joker card because it's like a very wild.
They just need to be a chameleon. They need to be proactive, and they just need to be listening. Listening. Yeah.
It is confusing and it's a little bit scary at the beginning. It's like, oh my god, what's happening? But it's all about communication.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Unusual Creative Podcast. We are back for episode 7, and we're back with my guest, Hasi. And I'm hoping that we can kick it off with just an intro. If you want to let the people know your pronouns, what you're working on, and then we can kick off today's topic.
Hello. Thank you again for inviting me here. I'm he, him. Currently, I am working on producing a reality TV show called Kiss My Trash. We're trying to uh, go to the next level with that, producing wise. Otherwise, I'm also a video editor and an actor. And currently, I'm helping with Delusion. It's like an immersive theater show. And also, my husband is also a fellow actor there. So we were wrapping that up. But yeah, this is me so far. Uh, Video editing, producing, acting, all together, one package.
One package. I was gonna say, so dope. Yeah, and for those that haven't seen your work, I can definitely vouch for it. You are insanely talented, and it's
You're too
great to have
nice.
you on the podcast. Yeah, great to have you. So, just for some context, Inez and I have been friends now for well over 7 years, maybe on the longer side of that. And we met through his husband Ben, and yeah, since day one, it's just been a true connection. I've always seen the creative talent in you, and I thought you would just be a great fit to talk more about what a producer does. Yeah, I thought the topic was interesting because as a producer and a consultant, I've just had so many conversations about this. When it comes to industries, it means something different. Different people, it means something different. So trying to break it down with people that I know this industry. And I'm curious for you, what does a producer mean in general terms, just in your mind?
It's so funny because the word producing, I think that's like the latest title that was added to the video editing and acting, and it was a very scary title because for the longest time, especially in film school, I was like, "What the heck a producer does?" In a way, it's like if I wanted something, I can make it happen, but like, what is producer? It really depends on the situation and the talent that you need specifically. I would say I enjoy specifically being more on the creative side of producing. But of course, there's like the technical stuff that a lot of us artistic people would lack and need someone to just like push us, get us to that next level, and make a project happen. And I guess it really depends on the situation what a producer can be for your team to elevate it to the next level, to open networks. Like I consider myself a very shy person, and sometimes like you need that producer to really go to the networking events or reach out to people, promote the product or the film, and it is very interesting. I think a producer is kind of like a if there was like cards of deck of cards, it would be like the Joker card because it's like a very wild.
That's a good point. And honestly, that speaks to my career. Like when I think about the highs, lows, and in betweens, it's everything from like I have managed to get porta potties on site because we didn't have enough restrooms for the actors. I have also been the person to do the meet and greets with the VIP guest, which that sounds like a really cool gig. And a lot of times it is, but sometimes it's talent, and they don't always see eye to eye. And if that is, can always just be a delicate balance. So yeah, I think the way that you've explained it is like, what does the producer need to be? They just need to be a chameleon. They need to be proactive, and they just need to be listening. Listening. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's
That's
imagine
huge.
this, like you're not, let's say there's like someone who's on a director level who is supposedly overtakes the artistic and everything, and then you have the talent, the artist, and then the producer always have to mitigate making sure that everyone is happy, and also in the same time to make them like on their toes, like we have this time, we need to like wrap it up, or hey, you need to stop whatever you're doing. So When it's time to be best friend, they will be the best friend, but when it's time to work, they will be, your parents. It's just
You're right. Exactly. And it has to be, yeah, it just has to be basically wearing all hats at all times. Yeah,
absolutely,
a lot
yeah.
of that. So I'm curious how you might define the relationship between a creative and producer.
Mhm.
Like if you know any other dynamics that exist like that. I've had a couple of guests sort of mention um, moms or parents. But yeah, if there are other dynamics that you're like, oh, I can see how a creative and producer have a similar relationship to this group of people, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
That is very interesting. I mean, I already mentioned there is, like, definitely, like, a parent relationship because the parent always wants the best for you. Sometimes they hurt you in the process, you know? But but producing is like that too because you have to believe in the project more than anyone else, you know? You accept this project, you see the vision, the person might has have the vision, but doesn't have the drive that a producer has. So I would say a parent is a very close, like, comparison. You don't choose your parents,
You don't, yeah, that's true.
but you can choose your producers. Yeah, the parental relationship where you wanna guide the person, but you also it's the delicate balance, you know? You don't want to crush their soul while you're doing something beautiful.
I was going to ask you, can you share any experiences, good or bad, or whatever you're comfortable sharing, where you noticed that a producer made a direct impact on the success of a project?
Absolutely. The first thing that comes to my mind is like a short film that I recently did with a friend, who became a business partner and also a producer. And her approach was very something I took like notes because it was she had this kind of network of people who were very passionate about projects and we were able to make this like higher level of film with people who are just passionate, you know? So our production fees went to zero. Like the only thing we really paid for was I would say sound because if the sound is bad, everything is bad. But aside from that, she really embraced the project and also made other people excited. And I think that's a very unique skill, you know, it's one thing to pay people and say like, do this, and another thing to inspire them to come together to make a project because she was very passionate about the script. And I think her passion really went through people's mind and it elevated the project to the next level. So it's not always about the money.
That's a good point. We've seen plenty of examples of money not being the only thing that makes something good. You know, it does have to do with the people. And I love hearing that you worked with a producer that had enough passion to bring it together.
I always think about it, like, whenever I produce the next stuff or whatever I'm doing next, I'm thinking, like, "How can I approach this? How can I do something that everyone in the room, from the gaffer to the probably, like, post video editing, they would enjoy every moment of it and feel proud being part of this project? Like, how can I do that?" And make people excited for showing up, for doing whatever is upcoming. So I think about that often.
So, in terms of zodiac signs, which I know not everybody loves that, but I'm curious, in terms of zodiac signs that you think would be just a good fit for a producer, in terms of qualities, what are your thoughts on that? I've kind of played around with some ideas in my head, but I'm curious to know what zodiac signs are a good fit for a producer.
I read people's natal charts sometimes, and the first things that come to my mind is like cardinal signs, which are like Capricorn, Aries, Libra. Oh my god, I forgot the fourth one. But cardinal signs would do great. I think also like Leo is like, you know, they're a boss, you know, through and through. You get the vibe, you get inspired. But I guess for people who are like cardinal signs are known to be more kinda goal oriented, they love to start something, and initiate events. And I think like, producer always wants to start something, but then again, you have, someone who can finish it like a Leo. So Leo, Aquarius, which are, oh my God. So there's mutable, cardinal, and there's fixed. Yes, fixed signs. So
Okay.
fixed signs ultimately like Leo, Aquarius, um, those Taurus, like they can actually like go through the uh, hard process of making something happen through from the beginning till the end.
Mhm.
Um, so I would go with fixed signs more than cardinals, but cardinals do have a great job at the beginning. I'm Capricorn. So I would like to think that I would do everything perfectly.
Yes.
It gets
Yes,
personal
and
for me.
Capricorns use their voice too. They're not afraid to speak up. They're
Oh,
not
no.
afraid to just call attention to something. That's a good point. That has
No.
been I feel like Capricorn is the one that's been brought up the most. I'm glad that you mentioned Libra. Only because I feel like they bring fairness to a lot of things and they just have like a very even temperament.
They're the
So
diplomat. I mean,
yes. Yeah, that's a good way
so
of putting
you
it.
you need someone who's good with people skill, and Libras can do that. Yes, they can be indecisive. I mean, but that's not an issue for a producer because you're not like yes, you're affecting the project, but you're more medicating things to happen and also in the meanwhile trying to have like this diplomacy between people so they don't like kill each other. So I think Libras would be great producers for sure. Like, yeah, Daenerys Targaryen is supposedly Libra. So
And then I guess my last question for you, and it's really more like just like a topic to sort of dive into in terms of like the different types of producers, line producers, executive producers, creative producers. Um, is it clear to you what the differences between those are? Do you find that like especially in the film industry because that's the industry that I just don't know as much about, but are those lines really clear like when you're on a set who a line producer is versus like just like a set producer, I guess,
I'm
and
gonna
like
be very
who else?
honest. I'm
Yeah.
like before actually doing more of producing, I was so confused about that. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
it's because what I understood ultimately is communication is the most important part of like hiring a producer or being a producer because like we spoke at the very beginning, uh, you're trying to figure out what exactly you're missing in your dynamics to make a project move. And the clearer you have that communication with the person that you want to hire or produce for, the better it gets because I was confused. I remember being like, "Wait, so I gotta do all of this? Like, not only, like, cast the people, also, like, location scouting, also, like, the script supervising," like, all these kinda, like, little things that, a producer needs to keep in mind. But no, the answer is no. Like, you need to figure out what exactly you're needed for and communicate your expectations with the other person. Say, hey, this is what I really need help with. What's your skills are like? So, for example, I would, and the line producing stuff, which is more kind of like, technical stuff. I
Yeah.
would accept the fact that I'm a little bit weaker because I'm a very novice when it comes to that. But for example, when it comes to the creative side, making those creative decisions, hiring actors, finding people, that's where I shine. But it took me a second to know, like, I was afraid that, hey, if I'm a producer, I have to do everything, but that's not the truth. It's like there could be multiple producers, and every project needs a different kind of skill to make a project complete. So, yeah, it is confusing and it's a little bit scary at the beginning. It's like, "Oh my god, what's happening?" But ultimately, it's all about communication.
It so is. And I have been part of either installations or theatrical productions where there was a team. It wasn't just like one producer. But yeah, I guess it really does depend on what the need is and then yeah, what that budget is looking like because that's going to
Absolutely. I mean,
dictate.
listen, if you're
Yeah,
paying me well, I will do everything, and I'll make
I will
sure
figure
people
it
are
out.
in line. But we all know the budget is always never enough.
Well, thank you for your insights on us.
Of
It's been
course.
really, really great chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, yeah, of course. And we look forward to hearing more about what you have coming up.
Mhm.
especially that film that you mentioned. So, audience, keep your ears and eyes out for that. And we'll be back with another episode soon. Take care, everyone.